We have two talks that Soroosh will give. The first on the role of UNESCO GWADI in providing remotely sensed rainfall information, and the second he'll give on behalf of two professors, Saleh and Ahmed from University Khartoum, who couldn't be here. So we're delighted to have Soroosh here. Sorooshian has been a great supporter of University of Saskatchewan and Canadian hydrology for many years, going back to the MAGS program and through Mackenzie GWEX and then through more recent ones. And he's been a tremendous guidance to us as we've developed our hydrology, and particularly in some of the ungauged regions, and wrestled with inadequate data and other problems. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Those were the good old days and fun days. Yeah. Well, thank you very much again, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here, Howard. Rather than getting emotional, I'll get to first. I'll present what Abdin provided. Abdin Saleh is sitting on the left, and then Howard, and then the late Mike Edmund, who were contributors to the GWADI program. So here's what your friend Abdin sent, and regrets that he couldn't be here. It says, in this short note, I will focus on some of the outstanding contribution of Professor Howard Wheeler to the International Hydrologic Program, acronym IHP, of UNESCO, and particularly his work on hydrology and water management in arid areas. Professor Wheeler is one of the founders of the UNESCO IHP Global Network on Water and Information Development in Arid and Semi-Arid Regions, known as GWADI, and I'll be talking a little bit about that. And Professor Shin Lee yesterday also mentioned it. And is still one of the three pioneers and advisors of the network and its regional branches. He was also one of the founders of the WADI Hydrology and Groundwater Protection Networks in the UNESCO IHP in the Arab regions. In addition, he contributed to major projects in arid zone hydrology and water resources development in many countries in the Arab region, including Oman, 1981 flood study, and as a principal investigator, and the famous 5 WADI study in southwest Saudi Arabia between 85 to 88, where he was a senior expert, together with numerous small-scale floods and water resources studies in other countries in the Middle East and Africa, including Yemen, Jordan, UAE, Botswana, and Sudan. Recognizing his outstanding contributions in arid zone hydrology and sustainable water resources management, he was awarded the prestigious Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz International Water Prize for his arid zone work in 2006. Then Abdin goes on to talk a little bit about developing UNESCO Arab Region Program and the WADI hydrology. He says, being one of the 5 persons invited in 1990 by the Secretariat of the International Hydrology Program, IHP UNESCO, to prepare the first concept paper for the 5th phase of the IHP that ran between 1996 to 2001, I found that the work of the GWADI initiative provided a great opportunity to convince my colleagues in the panel and the Secretariat of IHP to give more focus to the problem of hydrology and water resources management in arid regions. 2 of the 8 approved themes were directly related to arid zone, namely integrated water resources management in arid zones and to the groundwater resources at risk. Not to mention that 5 of the other remaining themes had strong links to the arid zones. Then goes on to say that prior to the launching of the 5th phase, I was appointed in November '93 as UNESCO's regional hydrologist to the Arab countries based in UNESCO Regional Science Office in Cairo, Egypt. Thereafter, and also prior to the launching of the 5th phase of the January 1996, the UNESCO Cairo office convened the 6 regional meetings of the National IHP Committee of the Arab regions in Amman, Jordan in December of '95, which was attended by representatives and experts from most of the Arab countries, many related regional and international organizations, and Professor Howard Wheeler as an international resource person who presented a contribution entitled Water Resources Management Under Arid Conditions. And Abdin goes on to quote from your statements that it has been shown that for many applications, the hydrologic characteristics of arid areas present several severe problems for conventional methods of analysis. Recent data provide new insights. These insights must be used as the basis for development of more appropriate methods for water resources evaluation, and in turn to define data needs and research priorities. Much high-quality research is needed, particularly to investigate processes such as spatial, rainfall distribution, infiltration, groundwater recharge, etc. And then end of quote. Even now, when one looks at this important and wise conclusion Howard made, the same identified needs still exist. Then he talks a little bit about Howard's involvement with the IHP at the highest levels of UNESCO. Professor Wheeler continued as the volunteer advisor to the teams of the two networks contributing to the technical gathering of experimental wadi basins, visiting and advising in most of the Arab countries. He must have done a lot of traveling. His backing and support continued after I transferred to UNESCO headquarters in Paris in 1998, where his input to IHP widened to include global IHP initiatives and activities, being very close to us in London. Professor Wheeler contributed to various themes of IHP 5 and IHP 6, keeping arid zone hydrology always well positioned in the new themes. Then he goes on a little bit about the GWADI contribution. Says, in their evaluation of the IHP 5 themes and activities, the member states of UNESCO Council unanimously commented the progress and great success made in the wadi hydrology and groundwater protection that Howard had initiated, and requested that IHP Secretariat to initiate the Global Arid and Semi-Arid Zone Program. To achieve this order, the IHP Secretariat called upon Professor Wheeler experience together with those of his colleagues, Sorooshian and of Arizona at that time, and Professor Mike Edmond of Oxford University. I worked closely with them to shape and advise on the progress of the GWADI Global Network and its regional branches in Asia, Latin America, Africa, the global, and the Arab regions. The GWADI objectives include improving understanding of the spatial characteristics of the hydrological systems and water management needs in arid areas. 2, capacity building of individuals and institutions. 3, broad dissemination of information on water in arid zones to the user community and the public. And 4th, exchange of experience. Last but not least, the 5th, promoting integrated basin management and development use of the appropriate decision support tools. Professor Wheeler's contributions to the GWADI Global Network and its regional branches continued to date. However, as an example, one must mention his pioneering lead in 2 initiatives related to hydrologic modeling and groundwater modeling in arid and semi-arid areas. 2 Cambridge University Press publications were issued respectively in 2007 and 2010, and they're available, by the way, if anybody is interested, you can purchase those. Last but not least, Abdin concludes by saying that Professor Wheeler has made considerable contribution to the International Hydrology Program, IHP of UNESCO, volunteering generously his precious time, wide knowledge, and great experience in hydrology and water resources management. My remarks gave only a few examples of his significant contributions in enriching the knowledge base, capacity development, and establishment of the scientific networks. This is in addition to his high-quality advice to the countries in the Arab region and Africa. The side which I did not touch on is that, in this short note, is his high quality as a great human being who believed that scientific knowledge and experience should not be at all constrained by geographical, political, nor by financial boundaries. He and his colleagues, Sorooshian and Mike Edmund, believed in giving with no boundaries, and thus significantly contributing towards the noble mission of UNESCO in, quote, building peace in the minds of men and women, end of quote, through education, science, and culture. And he wishes you the best, and sorry that he couldn't be here. And that's from our colleague, who is really one of the remarkable human beings himself. All right, so we will